Welcome back! Eternal Dragon here with an update to my Shadow God build. We've changed things completely, and we are now the Elemental Evaporator. So, what has happened to Shadow God? Well, DLC 2 happened, basically. And with the upcoming Livewire nerf that we all know about because we all read the hotfix and patch notes, so we all know that the live wire is going to change. I decided to get ahead of things and set up Shadow God so that we can still do any content in the game without having to rely on the live wire's chains or even the low ammo live wire for big hits. So what have we got? First of all, we have the oil and spice, and folks, I think this gun is amazing. I think it's absolutely top tier. All of the math that I have done on this thing shows that when you set the oil down on the ground and then set it off, whatever gun that you set it off with, whatever fire gun, first you get your normal shot as an AoE when it lights the oil. Then it explodes and does another AoE hit for 3 times your gun damage. And on top of it, if you do the same thing and you light it with a spell, everything that I've done shows you're getting 4.2 times the spell damage as a secondary AoE hit. So I mean, my math might not be perfect. I'm not the best math guy in Wonderlands, but hey, that's what I've got so far, and I mean, it shows on this build. So this gun, absolutely love it. Shoot the oil out, light it up, and on top of it you'll see that every so often it fires these little igniter rounds that kind of shoot all over the place. They'll home in a little bit, and when you are using the contagion portion of the build and you're firing here in from the shadows, you'll find that that just lights the mobs up and their life just drains away to nothing super duper quick. So that's our main gun now, the oil and spice. We've got a chaotic one, and we have it with enchanted on action skill start. Increase your status effect chance and damage by 20% for 10 seconds. Now that is hugely important on this build for what we're doing, because this is a contagion-centric build. This is a phenomenal armor we were able to get from DLC 2, thanks to Ryan the Beast Gamer for helping farm this thing up. And what happens here with this armor, I should have stayed here. You see we got area damage, movement, and all damage on there, but you'll see we have an additional 45% status effect damage on this. So we're already boosting our status effect damage right there, and our status effect damage is of course elemental, so we're going to be, if you see here on the enchant, boosting it by 35% more there. And then over here, because we are doing fire, an additional 50% boost there. On the amulet, another 69.3% status effect damage. And then over here on the cursed wit, we've got increased damage 20% for 20 seconds on action skill start, and of course if your shield gets broken, cursed wit, you're doing another additional 100% damage overall. So the main weapons really are the oil and spice with the salt and battery. The salt and battery is a fantastic new item from DLC 2 as well. When you hit an enemy and critical hit with this thing, it creates a tornado full of knives, and those things can just keep critting and critting and critting with this build. Gives you all the chances to set off your contagion proc here. You can see we've got the 6 out of 3, and I'll discuss the contagion in just a minute. Otherwise, we do have a White Rider. This thing is really good for running around, chaining mobs together, doing some like really good damage on its own, and it spreads your contagion really quite well. This thing here is for any time that your melee can't get in and you need to get a big hit on something. If you look, 33% chance you use multi-ball, that basically guarantees the multi-ball is your secondary fire. I'll show you here. We have impact normally, or multi-ball, so you fire 3. So 3 times 33%, that's almost a 100% chance that you are going to proc that dot there, the 3352 in Dark Magic. So you got your another elemental damage proc there. And so this is just for anything that's like really far away. You can get a proc and hopefully get your contagion going. I showed that in the intro against Drill. And the last weapon on the build that really matters, this is the liquid cooling. We all know it, and the only reason it's here is for Bernadette, because Bernadette is a giant pain in the butt, And for some reason, dark magic doesn't seem to work very well on her no matter how hard I try with different weapons. So I just put it on there. If you're in a Dragon Lord fight, switch over to this for when the Bernadette portion of the fight comes up, and you can just knock her out of the sky really quick using that. Over here for the rest of the gear, we have a class ring of the natural 20. This thing's phenomenal. You can see the rolls on it. It's a melee booster with melee crit. And then, of course, a Sharklescent ring for that additional 15% melee damage, plus the 14% melee damage up top. And we got one with melee crit on this as well. Focusing on crits as much as we can so that we can apply phenomenal dots with Contagion. As our spell, we are using an Extinction Calamity. We got a Primordial one here. I was pretty excited about that. It does some pretty good damage on its own. And we got the 2 charges on it. And the reason we want this one is it kind of hangs around for a little while, a bit more chance to proc again on the DOT style stuff, and it can in fact light the oil on the ground. I'll show you right there. So, let's move over to skills. Over here in skills, we are using From the Shadows, and that is just, of course, so that every single hit that we do is a critical hit, as a lot of our damage is going to be amplified by what we're doing. We want to get these huge critical hits to do huge DOTs. Over on the Clawbringer side, we have 3 here and 2 here. Sort of standard for what I like to do with the Clawbringer. A little bit of extra melee. We've got lightning on your melee hits there. We've got extra fire damage going here on your gun. And 5 out of 5 in Dragon Aura to boost your elemental damage 25%. Over on this side, Arsenal 5 out of 5 for the 15% boost in everything you see on screen there. Of course, going full points into Potent Poison so that our status effect damage and status effect duration is maxed out. And Exploit the Weakness so that every time we get a different DOT on there, we're increasing the damage that we do by 6%. Here we have Swift Death. We did not take Haste because we wanted to go for as much damage as possible, but with Swift Death, when you're moving around, running around, sliding around, you see you are actually getting quite a bit more damage than you would be if you're just standing still. And Follow Up, just for the sake of you are shooting an SMG, so when you run in, you might as well have a big boosted melee hit. And, like, I mean, what more do you want? A big boosted melee hit after shooting your Oil and Spice SMG a whole bunch. A little bit of extra crit damage here in Sneak Attack, and then you see we have 6 out of 3 in Contagion, with an almost 50% chance to spread, and then we have that new status effect damage as 50% of applied status effect damage. And so, why this works is that we've actually increased our status effect damage to the point where 50% of it is still enough boost that we are increasing the damage every time this spreads. So with that 48% chance damage, 48% chance to spread to another enemy, when it happens, we are not doing like 50% of a base status damage. We're doing 50% of a greatly increased status damage, which means that you can continuously increase the amount of status damage that you're doing, and then we can get up to what is a damage cap breaking hit, because folks, we can break the damage cap on this build. You saw it a couple times in the intro. Over 1 billion damage. Unbelievable through this skill Contagion. Here we're using Alchemical Agent, your status effect damage, 10% of your melee dealt. This is just your melee crits, always apply a status effect. Again, we're moving towards Contagion there. And then here we have 1,000 cuts, 5 out of 5 there, just because I happen to like the skill, stacking up damage again. You can spend some points here if you want to move faster, but I really like 1,000 cuts, and that's why we've spent heavily here. And then Executioner's Blade, again, just more chance to set off procs with elemental damage, as all of these critical hits that you're getting have the chance to be spawning in Dark Magic Swords, because those are scaled off of your melee weapon here. Finally, we have, of course, our hero points. We've got 48 out of 48 strength so that we can get our massive critical hit damage. This does, of course, apply to our guns. This applies to our DOT. It applies to absolutely everything that we're doing. Critical hit chance, 34% here, with your base critical hit chances, and then the Stabomancer's ability. Wait, where was my Stabomancer abilities? Here, gotta hit that button. Dirty Fighting, increased critical hit chance. We basically crit almost every single time that we hit, and that is important for the damage that we're dealing with all of our DOTs. Intelligence, 20 out of 37 for a 10% spell cooldown, and then we went heavy here in Wisdom, 54% extra status damage there. 20 out of 40 on our Constitution, and 23 out of 40 here on Attunement. So this is it, folks. This is the Elemental Evaporator. This is, as far as I know, the first build out there that is breaking 1 billion damage on a fairly consistent basis. Now, of course, it is using Contagion, so it's a bit RNG based. You will see that you fluctuate a little bit on your damage, but as long as you're in there, you're using your attacks, you're swinging, you're shooting the oil on the ground, you're then calling your spell in, and then waiting for that oil to light, and then going from the shadows, running in, hitting with your weapon. You are going to see, you will definitely hit 1 billion damage with this build. It is a crazy, crazy good time. And what an evolution, folks. What an evolution of what we've had for a while now. So, super stoked to share this with all of you. I hope you have a ton of fun with it. Big shoutouts again to Ryan the Beast Gamer, and of course Big Jeff, always there in a pinch. Guys, thank you so much for your help here with this build. And to everybody else, just have fun with this thing, go crazy, get those numbers, and I'll be live on Twitch. Come hang out with me. But above all, happy gaming. So for everybody who stuck around this long, I've got a little bit of a secret to share with you guys that I've discovered with this SMG. A little bit of fun that you might not know about. So other than all of the damage we've been doing, you can do PvP with this thing. Don't tell K6. You see I'm getting hurt right now. This works on your friends in game as well. You can shoot the oil under your friends and light it and burn them. And the other really interesting thing that I would like to point out about the oil is that it seems to proc more on the outside edges. Thanks for sticking around. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace!